Hey guys, this is Al again. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about my 6.3. We made a little bit of progress on it. We're able to plumb the fuel pump all the way through, put the gas tank in. So I'm using that gas tank that I showed you in the last video for the 4.5. We're using it for now because the other tank's a little bit rusty. As soon as we did test run it beforehand, we test ran it yesterday, I think the day before yesterday, and the moment we test ran it, the power steering pump started acting out. So you have the power steering pump with the air compressor sitting right here, and it just kept on acting like it was just sucking in air, even though it shouldn't have been really. And then it blew a seal right down the center of the power steering pump. So I'll take the camera off real quickly and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So this is the power steering pump that came with it, and that was on the engine, and I'm guessing that that's the power steering pump that came with that engine, and it has a join right over here. And all of a sudden it just blew all the power steering out of that joint. So I'm guessing that there was a pretty severe seal that blew up. But anyway, it made a mess. I mean, it basically splattered power steering fluid all over the engine, which is a real shame because, you know, the engine was super clean before it. But, you know, it is what it is. We did have a second power steering pump that came with the original engine on, that came with the car. That power steering pump seems to be okay. We ran it very briefly. So right now, here's what we got. So car wasn't starting. When you crank the switch, nothing would happen. We found out it was due to this neutral safety switch and linkage. So once we got everything together, we were able to crank the engine, but the linkage is still a little bit messy. So effectively right now you can start the car in every single gear. So this needs to be fixed at some point. Obviously the linkage at the transmission may be the problem. We did look at it there, and it's not fully connected. So that's one thing. We did get the wiring squared up in the back of the car. So you know, all the wiring to the fuel pump is now working. There's you can see there's a jerry can right here, but there's gas in the tank. So everything is hooked up and connected, and you know, it runs. So we have a little bit of coolant in the radiator. So let's see if we got decent level of coolant in the radiator, so that's good. Only thing I'm concerned about right now is that we've got two issues. First of all, there's oil all over the, you know, ATF all over the engine now, so I don't want to let the car run too long and warm up, you know, because I don't want to create a fire when you know, from all the oil. I'd like to take it out and pressure wash it. What else is there? The car as it is right now will bog down after a few moments of running. So it'll run and it'll start and it'll run great. But what would happen is after about 5 or 10 minutes, when the engine warms up, it'll start to bog down. It could be because of the pump that we're using. So I just put a universal fuel pump that I actually used on my 85 XJ S. The pump is designed to run at 45 psi, and I'm not sure what the flow rate is. I'll write it down when I upload the video. But in any case, I think it's completely different to what it should be for these cars. I think these cars operate at a much lower pressure but have a high flow rate, so they have, you know, like more than 100 gallons per hour would flow through the pump, but at only like 15 or 20 psi. So I need to figure out if the pump isn't being matched properly, or if it's overpowering the fuel pressure regulator, and that's what's causing the problem. So that's something that I need to figure out. I'll maybe stick the original OE pump. I actually have a brand new one that I have sitting here, so I can probably swap it out and put the OE pump. But that pump was like $2,000, and I was saving it for my Pagoda, so I kind of was holding on to it. I also have some D-Jetronic pumps, which may also do the job. From what I understand, the D-Jetronic pumps could work with this car, and by all accounts, that's what I'm hearing. And if I navigate this mess, there's a whole bunch of them sitting over here on this shelf. So that could be an option as well. So right now, let's see if I can mount the camera back up and crank it up so you guys can hear it running. And you can see from the smoke that there's just ATF burning off, which I need to take the car so I need to take the car and get it washed out, because it's obviously real filthy. So what else is next? Well, obviously all the linkages need to be plumbed back in on the engine. We need to get all the vacuum lines sorted out. I need to get the brake line on the passenger side had rusted away, so I need to get that remade, that brake line remade, and I'll probably just use some kind of fitting to join them together, some flare fittings, and just join them together and just cut the line so that it's I don't have to go and route it all the way through. What else? The exhaust pipe needs to be fitted, so obviously you can see it, you can hear it, it's a racket, but it sounds really good, so that's great. Sway bar linkage on the back is all disconnected right now, so the sway bars are disconnected. You can see as soon as I cranked the engine, the back end of the car started climbing, so that's something that needs to be addressed. And then it's just work. Rebuild the suspension, rebuild change the airbags if they're bad. I think the airbags in the front are in good shape. It's just the airbags in the back that need to be taken care of. And then just basically start going through the car. But I'm hoping right now that I'm going to be very soon, I'm going to be at a stage where I can actually drive this car off the lift, and that really makes me happy because I've been staring at this car for God knows how long, and I'm really looking forward to it running. And then afterwards, it's the 80-20 rule. So I think actually we spent 20% of our effort getting 80% there, and now 80% of the effort is to do the last 20%. We've got the AC system, we've got the linkages, we've got to clean up the wiring and make sure it's all taped up and presentable. We've got to get underneath the car and go through the suspension components and do all of that stuff. But you know, the major hurdle, the major heavy lifting has been done as far as getting the engine to run and run right on this car. It sounds great. I just need to figure out the fuel pump issue and make sure that the car is behaving itself well. But there you go, guys. I wanted to show this to you. I know that this has taken a very long time, and I had numerous requests from people requesting an update, and I apologize to them because I feel like I had a whole bunch of interest in this car when I first started working on it, and I managed to not pay enough attention to it, and it caused people to lose interest. But it's coming along, so bear with me and you'll see some more progress. Thank you very much, guys. Thank you.